Now, the Powers and Privileges Committee will not proceed with any complaints against former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. The committee insists that it has no jurisdiction against her after she resigned on the 3rd of April. Mapisa-Nqakula was facing a no-confidence motion and an allegation that she unilaterally hiked the salary of the Secretary to Parliament, Xolile George. Mapisa-Nqakula is facing corruption allegations in court, and she resigned from her position in what she terms protection of the institutions. However, the DA has been insisting that she accounts for her alleged misdemeanors while she was a speaker. But the Privileges and the Powers and Privileges Committee has received a legal counsel that it has no longer has jurisdiction to engage in a disciplinary process against her. At the time of her resignation, Mapisa-Nqakula was facing a no-confidence motion over the corruption charges, as well as an investigation into her alleged probe of unilaterally hiking the salary of the Secretary to Parliament. At a 70% hike, legal advice insists that the complaints can be pursued by other law enforcement agencies. Let's, of course, bring in some analysis in just a moment.
Committee is aware of prima facie grounds for it having been misled to take a specific kind of decision, which has ramifications because of the precedent it sets. And whether this committee or any other committee then could act upon that, because we cannot just accept that the whole matter is now moot. The mischief that was caused is still there, and it has to be cured.
Deal with this matter as this committee, because the Speaker has resigned, as both as the Speaker and also as a Member of Parliament. So it's no longer in our hands. Ours is just to close this matter and leave it there. It's no longer in our jurisdiction, so it will be wrong of us to get into the merits of something that we don't know.
The affected member here has resigned both as the Speaker and the Member of Parliament. And hence we are agreeing to rest this matter here. We don't have jurisdiction over it anymore. And I think, honorable members, that's how this committee will conclude on this matter.
Right, let's bring in even further legal analysis. We're joined now by Attorney Jonas Sibanyoni from Sibanyoni Attorneys to get some perspective here. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, the Powers and Privileges Committee says you know, this matter is no longer one that they will be concerned about because it has no jurisdiction against the former National Assembly Speaker. Is this a decision that should just be accepted? Okay, we appear to have a problem there with connecting with Attorney Jonas Sibanyoni from Sibanyoni JB Attorneys, but we will be getting back to him just to get some perspective and reaction to the news around the Power and Privileges Committee saying it has no jurisdiction against former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula's matter. Welcome back. Let's take you back to that story we've been tracking where the Power and Privileges Committee says it has no jurisdiction against former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. We are joined by Attorney Jonas Sibanyoni from Sibanyoni JB Attorneys. A very good evening to you. This case has certainly brought the laws of Parliament under scrutiny. As the Powers and Privileges Committee says it has no jurisdiction against this on this case, is this a matter that should just be accepted? And does it come as a surprise, this outcome?
You know, Xolile, if you are looking at the matter, and then you should look at it as in the case of a court of law. If a person has resigned as an employee, then the matter cannot proceed. It is moot. And then similarly, the Speaker of the National Assembly has resigned on two capacities. Firstly, she has resigned as the Speaker of Parliament, and secondly, she has resigned as a Member of Parliament. Therefore, the Powers and Privileges Committee has absolutely no jurisdiction, in other words, no power to proceed with the complaints that have been laid against her.
So does this mean that she's not going to account through Parliament for her misdemeanors while she was a Speaker?
She is not going to account because she is no longer a Speaker. She is no longer a Member of Parliament. She is no longer a Speaker, and then she is no longer accountable to Parliament. She's like an ordinary citizen of South Africa.
So what you're essentially saying is that insofar as Parliament is concerned, there can be no accountability when somebody resigns, irrespective of what may have happened and the misdemeanors that may have happened while she was in her position as Speaker. Does this now leave it to the law enforcement officers, officials to deal with this matter and have Parliament just say that, you know, she's resigned and there's nothing we can do about it as Parliament? What about the credibility of Parliament?
Well, the Parliament has waited. Parliament has waited until she has resigned, and then she is no longer under the jurisdiction or powers of Parliament. And what had happened before, when she was still a Speaker of Parliament and when she was still a Member of Parliament, they cannot now bring her back to continue with the complaint that was led against her. And then I will say, I agree with the views that the matter is now mute. In other words, the matter is now over. And talking about the integrity of Parliament or the dignity of Parliament, the reputation, the decorum of Parliament, I think the crux of the matter is that it is now out of the hands of Parliament.
So what opportunity or perhaps muscle does this now give other law enforcement agencies over this matter?
Well, the other law enforcement agencies, like the police and the courts, they've got that power because the allegations are of a criminal nature, and then they may proceed with it. But then the complaint of hiking the salary of the Secretary to Parliament is not within the ambit of the law enforcement agencies. It is within the powers of Parliament, the Powers and Privileges Committee. Unfortunately, as I have said, it is now outside of their jurisdiction or outside of their powers.
In a different matter, Parliament has now 49 days to deal with the matter involving Gender Equality Commissioner Mapisa-Nqakula Botha. And, the panel that has looked into this matter is saying that there is enough evidence for the National Assembly to move forward with this matter. What is your legal perspective on the basis and the merits of that case?
Well, at this stage, Xolile, what needs to happen is for the committee, is for Parliament, that is the Section 194 committee, to summarize the evidence that was adduced and led before it. And as the committee, they've got now to deliberate on the evidence that was led before the committee and agree whether they are supporting the report of that committee. And that report has now to be taken and placed before the National Assembly. My view is that there is sufficient time to complete what is outstanding, because what took long was adducing the evidence before the committee.
What does it say about Parliament and the way that it's dealing with cases which are regarded in this light? I mean, these were derogatory and defamatory remarks made about another colleague. And of course, you speak about the importance of time and what happened during that time. But what sort of precedent does now this matter set for what will and will not be accepted in Parliament?
You know, I will say the lessons that should be learned, Jobe. The lessons that should be learned is that Parliament should, through its committees, try to attend to matters as speedily as possible. Because we always say that the delay of taking action is like delaying justice, is denying justice. Therefore, in order to avoid such situations where they are now at the tail end of the term, the sixth term of Parliament, I think whenever there is a complaint led against any member of Parliament, that complaint should be dealt with as speedily as possible.
What happens in the instance where the Sixth Parliament takes over this matter and they're unable to resolve it? Will it be brought down and taken over by the next Parliament?
Yes, because at the stage the evidence has been concluded. And then this Sixth Parliament, if the committee does not come up with the report, and that the Sixth Parliament does not deal with the report and either adopt it or reject it, then it has to be taken over by the Seventh Parliament. In other words, after the elections of the 29th of May, 2024.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time there, speaking and getting some legal analysis by attorney Jonas Sibanyoni from Sibanyoni JB Attorneys on these matters of Parliament.